Hello everyone, I'm Weekly from Bao Designs. Now we'll get to the second part of the first tutorial in which you are making a pot, and now in the second part I'm going to show you how to apply the texture on it. So if you haven't gone through the first video, please do that so that you can see how to make the pot, and now we are ready to apply the texture. Okay, yeah, so the first thing, make sure you change the render engine to cycles, and then make sure you enable the node wrangler by going to user preference, you select on add-ons, and then you select node wrangler. So make sure it's selected and you click on save user settings. Next we're going to split the screen so that we are able to apply the textures. I'll click on that bottom right and drag. See the three lines there, you click on it and then you drag. So down here we're going to have the UV image editor, while up here we'll have the node editor. So I'll press N and resize that a bit. So the next part is to unwrap our model. To unwrap is to reduce the model into faces where you can apply the textures. So I'll press the right view by pressing 3, not 1, 3. So you can press 1 and see what happens to it. I'll press tab and then I'll click on A twice to select all, and then I'll go to mesh. Mesh is at the bottom, and I'll select UV unwrap. There are many options of unwrapping, that is converting this into faces. For this time we're going to use sphere projection. So you go to mesh, UV unwrap, then you go to sphere projection. So now these are the faces that make up our pot. Next we're going to apply the material on it. So that we see what material we have, I'll say that we go to the material editor. You remember where we place the wireframe or the solid. Choose material, and then I go to the materials here, and you can see right now there's no material, so we click on new. So we have a new material there, and by default it gives you a diffuse shader and a material output. So material output is what you get, and then these are the shaders that you apply. So I double click and then I rename it. I call it pot, and then I put underscore. I say flower texture to get it. Next, now I go here to change that texture that I'm going to apply. So I'll first of all right click on diffuse and delete it, and then I'll do shift A to add, and I put shade and I choose the principled shader. So then I've connected the two. Now since our node wrangler is enabled, I'll press Ctrl T, and then in that I'm able to add a texture. So you have a UV node, you have a mapping node, and you have an image texture. So here I'm able to click open, and you can select the image that you have. For myself, I've taken this photo which I like to apply, so I click on open. I'll post a link on where you can get that photo so that you are able to follow the tutorial. Although you can also download a lot of other textures online, for instance at www.textures.com, where you can create an account, and you're able to download a lot of cool textures that you can use from architecture to many other things, which is great, and I think it's a good resource to use. So now that I have done that, you can see that when I scroll around, the flower is a bit big. So we'll go back to the mapping node, and we are able to resize how our texture appears. So on scale, we have 1 and 1 here. I'd like us to change that to 2 and 2. So if I press 1, you can see now it looks much better. Next, I'd like to click on preview so that we see how it looks like, and I think it's more or less okay. Next, I want to put the neck material. In order to do that, I want to select the faces along the neck and assign for it a material. So I'll press tab to go back into edit mode, and then I will change at the bottom from vertex. There's edges, and now I select faces, so you're able to select each of the individual faces that make up the pot. So I select one of them at the neck, and then I change back to wireframe from material so that I'm able to easily select both sides. So I click on box select and I select all the textures on the neck. Now you can see they're all selected. Then I'll create a new material. Now you see we only have one material, so I'll click on a new material, then I'll say new, and I'll call it pot. I'll call it neck material. Then I have to click on assign. Now when you click on assign, it assigns the particular faces that you've selected, so that it doesn't apply to the whole pot, and it differentiates it from the first one. So again, it has the diffuse, so here I can go back to material, and here I have that preview, which is good. So I select on that and I delete it, and then I place the principled BSDF. I can change the material. I think I liked something like that, and then I make it more shiny. Now to make it more shiny, you can reduce the roughness here, and I think that looks quite glossy. Almost like a glass. I think that's okay. So that is okay. Now we have textured our pot, and now we're going to render it. Okay, so it's always a good idea to save as you go ahead, so that you don't have any problem in case your program should crash or anything like that. So we'll start by adding a camera. I go to the top view, I press Shift A to add, and then I choose camera. So there is my camera. I'd like you to press N while on this window, so that you get these more options. Now at the top here we have the camera, and on the rotation I'd like you to change the X to 90, so it's facing forward. Then I'll click G to grab it, then I'll click on Y so that I am able to move it backwards to be able to see the pot. Now at the bottom here where you had the UV image, I'd like you to change that back to the 3D view window, and then you can press T to remove that. You can change it to material so that you see how it is, and then press 0. Now 0 is the camera view. So now I can drag the camera back to position it while I look at how it looks like on this view. So I do G and then Y. Okay, I think the camera is a bit down. On the camera setting on this side, I look at it. What do we have? We have a 35mm perspective camera. I think that is okay. So what I'll do is to change the height. I can either change the height here, or I can press 1, and then I can type G, and then I transform it Z so that it goes a bit up. So I think that is okay. I go back to the top view, then I do G, then Y, so I move it closer. I think that's okay. I go back to the front view, I do G, and then Z, I take it a bit up, and I think that is okay. So I like that view. So we are ready to do the rendering, but we have to light the scene, because right now if you change this to rendered view, you find it's a bit dark because we need a material. So how we're going to apply a material is we're going to light it with a HDRI image, which are quite nice resolution. Myself, while learning Blender, I've been using HDRI Skies. I think I'll post the link also in the definition. So HDRI Skies, I saw it has a lot of nice. Over here you also have some HDRI you can select, but I normally use this one, and you can find you have a lot that you can get, so you can download one, and you can buy if you want a higher resolution. So be sure to download one there, and then you can use it. So once you've saved it on your computer, we're going to choose it as a lighting source. Since the camera is okay, I can change this to maybe material view. Then I can put 7 or something, and then over here I click on 0 so that I have the camera view on my main window to see how it looks like. Now on the node editor, you have this icon, looks like a globe, so you select that for world, and then as you scroll, with your mouse button, you have an icon for use nodes. Now when I select use nodes, this comes up. So this is able to give you the lighting for your scene. So if I change this to rendered, you can see that's what we have right now. The good thing, we have the node wrangler selected, so I'll do again Control T, and now it's all pink because we need to select our HDRI image. So this is what we have, the mapping node, the UV node, and we have an environment texture. Now we're supposed to insert our HDRI image on the environment texture. So I click open, and I'll put my HDRI image. I took number 255, so in case you find where 255 is, that's what I used. So I select it, that's the HDRI. You can select that to see how it looks like. So basically with HDRI, it's able to copy the settings, and then I will increase the lighting from it, maybe say to 2, to make it a bit more shiny. I don't know whether that angle is okay. So 60 is from the front, so you're able to change the rotation to get how it looks like. So when we render, this is what we'll get. And if we don't want the background, you'll go to the first setting where you get the camera, and then on film you select transparent, so that you just get your image. Right now, first I'll put it on material so that it's not very resource intensive. At the top of that selection, you have device as CPU. If your computer has a graphics card, I'd like you to change it to GPU compute, because it's going to render much faster and it's better. Then the resolution, I need you to change it to 100% so that it comes out well. And then on the next icon, which is on the render layers, I want you to select denoising, which is a good feature with Blender. So now we are ready to render. So I'd advise you to save the file, and then now you can render. Then you put render image. So Blender is going to calculate the lighting of the environment, and it will be able to produce your video. Since it's just one object, I think I'll let it render. Hopefully it will not take too long. Yeah, so once it finishes this up, you basically have your pot, and you're able to save image as. So you'll click on image, and then you put file, save as, and you'll have your desired settings. So I hope you liked the tutorial and you enjoyed yourself. Please subscribe and like the video. We're going to have more series coming in. If you have a comment, please post right, and I'll get back to you. We'll have more videos where we're going to make a xylophone, an umbrella, and even a wheel, and going to animate it. And therefore I'm very excited. So stick with us, and we'll have a lot of fun. So the rendering is about to finish, and we'll be able to save the image. I think if it's just a few seconds, I'll let it finish. Then I'll show you how to save the file. And you can see with this, you can make a lot of really nice stuff for yourself as a hobby, or even as a product design, or in architecture, or just even making toy sets and things like that. And you can even print them using a 3D printer, or you can use them in animation or advertising. So there's a lot of uses that Blender has. So there it has completed rendering, and we have our nice spot. So I can click on image, and then I put save image as. So I can save it, maybe let me just save it there as PNG, so I can say it port 01, which is what I've rendered. And thank you very much, and please subscribe, and we'll have more videos soon on modeling and rendering in Blender 3D. Thank you.